August 6th, Bowling Green, Warren County Planning Commission meeting. Thank you all for being here tonight. And Sydney, if you'd call the roll, please, sir.
Drain?
Yes.
Gay?
Yes.
Graham?
Yes, sir.
Shaw?
Yes.
Starks?
Yes.
Vitale?
Yes, sir.
Volkert? Chair Warren?
Yes. Commissioners, you have the minutes of our July 16th meeting in your packet. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we call for a motion, please.
Motion that minutes be approved as presented.
Second.
Starks?
Yes.
Vitale?
Yes, sir.
Drain?
Yes.
Gay?
Yes.
Graham?
Yes.
Shaw?
Yes.
Chair Warren?
Yes. Commissioners, in our packets, you had the subdivision and the site development plans. Are there any questions regarding those? All right, hearing none, they will be approved as submitted. Mr. Peterson, any new business?
No, sir.
Old business?
No, sir.
All right. We will now enter into our public hearing. Mr. Hampton Moore, if you would administer the oath, please, sir.
Chair Warren, I request that you order the record to include all relevant statutory and regulatory provisions, the Commission's entire file for each application on tonight's docket, and the qualifications for each staff witness. Finally, I request that you administer the oath to each of those witnesses.
You all swear to tell the truth?
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
very much. All right, our first item tonight is 2026-08 DP Stagner Farms LLC, care of George Vogler, has filed an application to amend the general development plan conditions for 5.7335 acres located on Elrod Road and Small House Road, 220 feet east of Chevy Way. The property is zoned PUD, Plan Union Development, and Ms. Hurt.
Thank you, Chair Warren. We had a pre-application meeting back in July for the property you just referenced, located at the roundabout there at Elrod Road and Small House Road. And this is the aerial view. I think it looks a little different today if you drive by. And the current zoning, as you mentioned, is PUD. That designation was established by the Planning Commission in 2022, and there was also a development plan amendment that was approved by the Planning Commission in June of 2025. The current land use is agriculture and vacant, and we have some property photos that we can reference as needed. And then I'll just leave the concept plan up. And the development plan amendment, there's just one main purpose, and the purpose of the application is to amend the required lot dimensions and to reduce the minimum lot size for lots in the proposed subdivision. There is no change in the original site layout or number of lots proposed. And those changes are detailed on page 4. If you look under the PUD narrative concept plan, you can see in bold that the proposed amendments are to change the minimum lot depth to 91 feet and the minimum lot frontage to 32 feet. And so the applicant may want to speak more to this, but I think it was just a misunderstanding when the last development plan was approved that those lot dimensions were just meant to be a typical lot dimension, but didn't really factor in for some of the lots that might be in a curve, just where, you know, the road might cut through or that sort of thing. And so when we got to reviewing the plat, we realized that not all of the lots met those requirements. So
Okay.
that is the purpose of the amendment. In our review, we found that the proposal complies with the majority of the criteria assessed in the review process, and we found the amendment to remain consistent with the moderate density future land use map and to be generally compatible with the surrounding area. That is all for the staff report, but I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Rachel. Commissioners, any questions for Rachel?
So Rachel, no DPC changes, just to accommodate the radiuses and that sort of thing?
That's it, just in the PUD narrative concept plan on page 4.
Thank you, Rachel.
Yes, sir.
Is the applicant here? Anything y'all would like to add, Mr. Davenport?
Chris Davenport, 921 College Street, swear to tell the truth. Just sorry we had to bring this back in front of you and take a little time. When we did the narrative back in 25, we included the dimensions of the typical lot that we had on the plat. We need to include the dimensions of the smallest lot. In this case, it's 3 feet smaller on the front, and I think 11 feet shorter on the depth. So nothing really significant, but it needs to be fixed. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Chris. Is there anyone in the audience tonight that has a question or opposition to this request? Thank you, Mr. Davenport. Commissioners, hearing no questions, we call for a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed general development plan amendment, docket number 2026-8DP, based upon the testimony and documents in the public hearing. Proposed general development plan amendment is consistent with adopted Focus 2030 comprehensive plan as demonstrated by its compliance with objective and action items presented in the staff report. Further, I also find that there has been major changes in economic, physical, or social nature within the area of the property in question, and I request that the findings of fact and recommendation include a summary of evidence and testimony presented by the witnesses at this public hearing.
Second.
Gay,
Yes.
Graham,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Starks,
Yes.
Drain,
Yes.
Chair Warren.
Yes. Is the Planning Commission final action. Our next item tonight is 2026-02 TZO 2026-V15, New Singer Wireless PSC LLC and Municipal Communications, number 3 LLC, the applicant, and FHE Investments LLC, the owner, have filed an application to approval of a wireless communication tower located at 542 Three Springs Road. The property is zoned highway business. The applicants have filed a concurrent application to request a variance of 427 feet from the 1,000-foot setback required from any residential district, structure, or use. Rachel?
Thank you, Chair Warren. We had a pre-application meeting back in April. As you mentioned, the property is located at 542 Three Springs Road. And for your consideration tonight is the application for a new telecommunications tower. The proposed height of the tower is 95 feet, 100 feet if you include the lightning rod. And the applicants are also requesting a variance of 427 feet from the minimum setback of 1,000 feet from the nearest residential district, structure, or use. This is the current aerial view of the property, and the proposed tower location is in the southern corner here, closer to the interstate. As you mentioned, the property is zoned highway business, and the current land use is commercial. Future land use map is also commercial. And we have some property photos that we can flip through. And then I'll just leave this exhibit up. In our review of the application, we found that the application complies with the majority of the criteria assessed in the review process, and with a majority of the criteria for site design. The only thing we've noted as an exception is that setback from the nearest residential structure, and that is where that variance comes into play. That is detailed on page 5, and you'll see the section of the zoning ordinance from which that variance is requested comes from section 526E5A1B, which states that all telecommunications towers shall be set back from any residential district, structure, or use a minimum of 1,000 feet. The staff's recommendation is for approval. Pending public hearing, testimony, and discussion, be happy to answer any questions.
So, Rachel, the setback, but when a applicant proposes a telecommunications tower, other than the setback, we are under to approve it, because it's a public utility?
Under the federal law, there are certain things that you can weigh in or weigh on in your decision. I'll let the applicant speak a little bit more to that here in just a minute.
Thank you.
So it's primarily regarding then the
Setback.
variance request?
Yeah, we just noted that the location doesn't meet that. If we go back to the zoning map, this is a unique area, and if you look on Three Springs Road, all of the properties are either zoned industrial or commercial. But if we flip to the land use map, we see a few sprinkles of red and yellow. So the nearest residential use is right where I have my hand on the screen. There are some multi-family units on that property that are within that 1,000-foot
Okay,
setback.
all right, that makes sense.
Makes
Thank you.
sense. Thank you, Rachel.
Yes, sir.
All right. Commissioners, any other questions for staff?
Chair Warren, I have one question. Is there now a signed letter of intent between the property owner and the developer?
Is that,
Seems like I read something where that maybe was missing, or maybe I'm incorrect on that.
I actually don't remember off the top of my head. I know the applicant will know the answer to that question, though.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Starks. Commissioners, any other questions? All right, thank you. Is the applicant here? Anything you would, yes, sir. If you would come to the microphone, please. Anything you'd like to add?
Chris Schaus, attorney for Pike
All
Legal,
right, I'm sorry.
attorney for Pike Legal Group, PLLC.
Chris, what?
Chris Schaus,
Yes.
attorney for Pike Legal Group, PLLC.
And your address, please, sir?
P.O. Box 369, Shepherdsville, Kentucky, 40165.
Swear to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Anything you would like to add to this?
You know, I do have a very detailed presentation plan.
Brief, how about a brief?
If I may, could we inquire if there's any opposition present to speak? You know, and if there is,
Sure.
I'd like to do that presentation.
That's a
if
great
not.
way to do that. Thank you,
Okay.
sir. All right, just have a seat real quick. Is there anyone in the audience tonight that has a opposition to this request for this cell tower and the variance setback? Anything else, sir, you'd like to add?
I would like to speak to the requested variance. The reason that we are requesting the variance is this is a very tight search area. This is in a highly developed area. We looked for a location that could meet the setback. Our goal is always to design a fully compliant location. In this instance, there just isn't a location within our search area that will meet that requirement. Our position would be that if that variance is denied, this is effectively a denial of, or a prohibition of service, which is under federal law, a violation of the Telecommunications Act. And that's all I wanted to say. I'm happy to take questions from the commission.
Commissioners, any questions for the applicant?
Well, I'd like to address the question I had earlier regarding.
Sure.
the letter
Could you
of-
repeat that question?
Is there a letter of intent between the property owner and the company you represent?
We do have a lease agreement with the
Okay.
property owner.
The second question, what happens at the end of the lease agreement as far as, say that when the lease agreement ends? What happens from that point on as far as the existence of the tower, or does the property go back to its original state, or what happens? If the tower is removed?
Sure. So this is, a long-term lease agreement, which, like any other telecommunications agreement, I mean, it's designed to last, 20, 50 years. But at the expiration of the agreement, and if it's not extended, then, we have a provision in the lease agreement that requires that we, remove it and restore the premises to its original condition.
Thank you.
So regarding the variance, you're already setting it back as far as you can, it sounds like?
This is about the best and furthest location we can. I can't say that, could we get a few more inches?
Yeah,
Maybe.
but it's not going to make a meaningful difference, right?
Right.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners, any other questions for the applicant? I think there's no opposition to this request, and thank you all for being here tonight. Commissioners, we call for a motion, please.
I make a motion to approve the proposed telecommunications tower application docket number 2026-2 TBG based upon the testimony presented in this public hearing. The proposed telecommunications tower application is consistent with the Focus 2030 comprehensive plan. It's demonstrated by its compliance with objective and action items in the staff report. Therefore, the proposed telecommunications tower is in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan. Further request this motion include a summary of evidence and testimony of the witnesses at the public hearing.
Second.
Gay,
Yes.
Graham,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Starks,
Yes.
Vitale,
Yes, sir.
Drain,
Yes.
Chair Warren.
Yes. Planning Commission, final action. Y'all be safe driving to Bullitt County tonight on I-65.
Thank you, sir.
You got a variance.
Wait.
Oh, excuse
Yeah,
me.
we do have to act
Yes,
on the variance,
Excuse me,
don't we?
I got the variance.
I make the motion to approve the request for a variance at 542 Three Springs Road, docket number 2026 V15. A variance of 427 feet from the minimum setback of 1,000 feet from a residential district structure or use. The testimony presented in this public hearing has shown that the granting of this variance will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare. It will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, it will not cause a hazard or a nuisance to the public, and will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulations.
Second.
Second.
Drain,
Yes.
Gay,
Yes.
Graham,
Yes, sir.
Shaw,
Yes.
Starks,
Yes.
Yes,
Vitale,
sir.
Chair Warren.
Yes. Planning Commission, final action. Thank you, Commissioners. All right. Our next item tonight is 2026-31Z County MTV Development LLC, care of Jason Boyd, the applicant, and 7G Properties LLC has filed an application for zone 2.89 acres located at 2020 Mount Victor Lane from RE Residential Estate to RS1A, single-family residential with the general development plan. Jenny?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting on June 10th for this property on Mount Victor Lane. Current zoning of the property is RE. Current land use is single-family residential. And then the future land use map designation is low-density residential. We do have some photos of the property. And then we will leave up their concept for your reference. The applicants are proposing to rezone 2.37 acres from RE residential estate in order to create 2 additional building lots, and then the existing home is proposed to remain. So looking down to the bottom of the page, we do have a couple of points of consideration for you all to reference. The first that we will look at is regarding the proposed density, which is on page 2 of the staff report. Within 1,000 feet, densities range from 0 to 3.03 dwelling units per acre. The median density is 1.68, and the average density is 0.81 dwelling units per acre, and the proposed density is 1.27 dwelling units per acre. This barely exceeds the recommended density increase that is outlined in HN 1.2, which would be a maximum of 1.22 dwelling units per acre, and there are lots of comparable size or smaller in the immediate vicinity. The second point of consideration that we will look at is the minimum home size, which is on the bottom of page 2 under surrounding architectural features. The existing home is 1 story in height and 2,673 square feet in size with an attached 2-car carport. Other homes in the area range in size from 1,344 square feet to 6,279 square feet with a median home size of 3,130 and an average of 3,300 square feet. The applicants have agreed to a minimum home size of 2,500 square feet in DPC number 2, which is less than that median identified for the area. With those considerations, the proposal does comply with the majority of the criteria assessed in the review process and is generally compatible with the surrounding area, and so staff's ultimate recommendation is for approval pending public hearing testimony and discussion here tonight. And that's all that I have. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jenny. Commissioners, any questions? So it does have a 2-car attached garage?
It does, yes, sir.
Yes. Commissioners, any questions? Is the applicant here or anything they'd like to add?
Again, Chris Davenport on behalf of MTV Development. Just a couple things about this one. It's a little bit of a unicorn, but not entirely. And this actual type of development has a precedent in the area. So I want to show you a couple things from there. So this is a good example. So you can see the subject property here is zoned RE. That should tell you that that zoning predates when sewer became available. So these lots were originally RE lots that were on septic systems. And you can see how even immediately adjacent to our lot, there has been a division of those RE lots and then at the same time, a rezoning to RS1A. So you all know that RS1A are the largest single-family residential lots that we have on sewer in the ordinance, and that's what we're asking for. So when the client brought this to me, a couple of thoughts that I had that I think are worth mentioning. Number one, as I've said, there's history of that in this immediate area, exactly what they're asking. The fact that they can keep this in three RS1A lots means they're consistent with this other history of development, so I think that's important. The other thing I told them was, when I worked with the engineers, is I thought it would be important to the planning commission to know, or to keep, if I can, this is a good example. I knew that y'all would be interested in their front setbacks. Okay, so we wanted those to be consistent as much as we could, not only with the older development. So if you look at this house on this plat, you see that it's set back, probably well over 100 feet from the
150.
from the roadway. But if you look at the rest of the development, I might have to go to the GIS map, Rachel. Could you help me get that?
There's an aerial in the packet, Chris.
This does decent, okay? If I were to take this out, you would see that the newer homes, their setbacks are very consistent with this one that's adjoining to the south, okay? I used the GIS map today to measure this. I estimate that at 55 feet, okay? The second lot, the second RS1A lot, which would be right here, also 55 feet. All of the new homes that have been built on Mount Victor Lane are somewhere between 55 feet and 75 feet front setbacks. So we were able to lay these lots out to get RS1A lots with 75-foot minimum front setbacks. That's going to create a consistent streetscape. And it's not going to burden the neighbors. The only person that's going to be burdened by the 75 front setback would arguably be the existing home on our property, because it will be behind those front setbacks. But that's obviously our property. So I think that's very, very much worth mentioning. The only thing I'll add beyond that is, obviously, we've got brick, hardy board materials, 2-car attached garage. I think this is a great product. I think it's a great use of this area. We're not asking to go some denser, some smaller lot like RS1, B, or C. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions y'all have.
Thank you, Mr. Davenport. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant?
So Chris, the existing home stays, correct?
Correct. That's the plan. If it ever is torn down, the new setback is 75-foot minimum.
You just answered my question.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this stays, but if it is torn down, then it goes back to the same setback as the others?
Correct. With the same design requirements as the new ones.
Do we have so this is RS1?
A. It's what we're asking.
Isn't there a sidewalk requirement for RS1A? Am I wrong about that?
Not in this scenario because it's already on an existing street.
Got it, okay, very good. So this was before sewer, a 1-acre lot, and
Correct.
now sewer's there,
Yeah.
and that's where they're divided.
And
Okay.
and like I said, that's how these other RS1A lots, like the two right next door, that's how they came to be.
So it's primarily an infill then?
That's the way I would characterize it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Chris. Is there anyone in the audience tonight that has a question or opposition to this request? Yes, sir. If you would come to the microphone, please, sir. Yes, sir. If you would state your name and address, please, sir.
Sure. Harper Hewlin, 1955.
I'm sorry, Harper what?
Hewlin,
Hewlin?
1955, Mount Victor.
Yes, sir. And you swear to tell the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yeah. And my issue is not necessarily with the redevelopment of the parcel itself. It's more along the lines of the density question. And on Mount Victor specifically, we've had a lot of increased traffic, and the comprehensive plan of the city, mentions biking infrastructure and pedestrian infrastructure frequently. And, I don't see how we can add a lot of additional density to Mount Victor without some pedestrian-friendly infrastructure. It seems like there have been so many, units added in the immediate vicinity that the traffic at a certain time of day, along Mount Victor has become, much significantly worsened. So that's my primary consideration, is requesting, a balancing and adding of pedestrian infrastructure if we're going to talk about increasing density.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Yes. I think staff kind of addressed that we are not required to do sidewalks on Mount Victor. Is that?
That's correct.
That's correct. Okay. All right. Anyone else? Thank you, sir, for your comments. Anyone else in the audience tonight has a comment regarding this request? Hearing none, commissioners would call for a motion, please.
I'll make the motion to approve the proposed zoning map amendment together with and condition upon the General Development Plan docket number 2026-31Z County, based upon the testimony and documents presented in this public hearing. The proposed zoning map amendment is consistent with the adopted Focus 2030 Comprehensive Plan as demonstrated by its compliance with the objectives and action items presented in the staff report. Therefore, the proposed zoning map amendment is in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan. Further, I request that this motion include the summary of evidence and testimony presented by the witnesses at this public hearing.
Second.
Starks,
Yes.
Vitale,
Yes, sir.
Drain,
Yes.
Gay,
Yes.
Graham,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Chair Warren.
Yes. The motion is approved. Planning Commission final action in 21 days unless a request is made for the legislative body to hear the item. Our next item tonight is 2026-32ZBG. Leachman Harry Motors Incorporated, care of David Jaggers, the applicant, and Bowling Green, Warren County Airport, care of Susan Harmon, the owner, has filed an application to rezone 2.67 acres located at 1000 Woodhurst Street from public to highway business with a general development plan.
Yes, thank you,
Amy?
Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting on July 8th for the property that you mentioned and is highlighted in red. The current zoning is public. The current land use is commercial, and the future land use is commercial. We do have a couple of property photos for you. And then here is the general concept. And again, the applicants are proposing to rezone on the existing airport property from public to highway business in order to construct a new 27,000 square foot vehicle repair facility and associated parking. If approved, the applicants will enter into a long-term lease agreement with the airport to accommodate the proposed development. With that being said, at the bottom of the page, the proposal complies with the majority of the criteria assessed in the review process and is generally compatible with the surrounding area. Therefore, the staff recommendation is approval pending any public hearing testimony and discussion. That's all I have for staff report. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Amy. Commissioners, any questions for staff? All right. Is the applicant here? Anything y'all would like to add? Okay. All right. Is there anyone in the audience tonight that has an opposition or questions to this request? All right. Hearing none, commissioners would call for a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed zoning map amendment together with and condition upon a general development plan docket number 2026-32ZBG. Based upon the testimony and documents presented in this public hearing, the proposed zoning map amendment is consistent with the Focus 20 Comprehensive Plan as demonstrated by its compliance with objective and action items in the staff report. Therefore, the proposed zoning map amendment is in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan. Further, I request this motion include a summary of evidence and testimony presented by the witnesses at this public hearing.
Second.
Gay,
Yes.
Graham,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Starks,
Yes.
Vitale,
Yes, sir.
Drain,
Yes.
Chair Warren.
Yes, sir. This planning commission final action in 21 days unless a request is made for the legislative body to hear the item. Thank you all for being here tonight. All right. Any discussions item, Mr. Peterson? So we have, our next meeting will be August the 20th. Rachel, how many items?
Two.
Two.
Sydney tells us, because I had no idea.
I'm sorry, what?
I didn't know, so Sydney says two.
Two. All right. Commissioners, thank you for your service. Staff, thank you all for all you do. And Mr. Moore, your his friend's 50th wedding anniversary tonight
That's correct. Colorado.
in Colorado. All right. Well, he gave you the binder, so you know what you're doing. Thank you, Hampton.
I don't know.
All right, we're adjourned.
She's way